All right. I think we're going live. I think we got everything set up. How's it going, Kara?
Hey, it's going great. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. The hurricanes in Florida have left us, so that's
All right.
great.
Good.
So awesome. So welcome to Getting Past the Gatekeeper podcast with your hosts, Tim Madden and Kara Dennison, where each week we share tactics and strategies live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern to help you navigate your current, navigate this current job market to land the job that you know you deserve with the money you deserve. And if you don't know me, my name's Tim Madden. And for the past 15 years, I have been in the headhunting and recruiting space, right? I've overseen 5,000 placements, and there's just so many tremendous stories. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you today. And I help people land, the job and money that they deserve in the marketplace. Kara, tell people who you are.
Awesome. So, my name is Kara Dennison. I have spent my career as an HR professional, specifically in corporate recruiting. I have overseen 150,000 resumes throughout my career as a career coach and a corporate recruiting leader. We have joined together, Tim and I, to bring you executive career upgrades, which we'll tell you a little bit about today. And we're the hosts of Executive Career Network, the fastest growing career network on Facebook. And guys, we hit over 2,000 members I believe, last week actually. And because of that, we are going to be sharing with you some really cool stuff that we do with our clients. And because of these key principles that we're going to be sharing with you today, we've been able to get our clients 20 offers in the last month. So very, very exciting. Congrats to all of our clients who are now in some really cool positions.
That's super exciting. And because this is what we wanted to talk about today. So we have given you guys lots of free resources, our masterclass, etc. We're aware though that, hey, you guys are busy, right? Some of you haven't had time to watch it. So in this segment, we're going to share with you training that we did a couple months ago that literally, I think almost 10,000 people have watched. We keep getting emails each day about how great it was. So we want to share the most important things from that training during this. And we're going to share a couple case studies for you as well. And since so many offers have came through, we also have some more exciting news. If you are stuck in your search, if you don't know where to start, if you've been on interviews and you don't know what you're doing wrong, no one's calling you back, you're not sure about this, you don't know how to negotiate your salary, and you're frustrated, right? We want to talk to you. Another thing, if everything's going great, if you're not frustrated, you haven't dealt with rejection, but you want to do it right the first time, branded right the first time, connected to the right people the first time, knowing how to navigate these conversations right the first time, right? We would love to talk to you as well. Right. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me try to find this. I'm going to drop it in right here. This is the calendar link to talk to maybe me, maybe Kara, maybe a member of our team. So we could dig in more about your career and we can find out, right? Like, are we able to help you? And if we are, hold on, let's get started and make it happen for you. So let's get started for today. Let me get my notes up. I think you're up first, Kara, right?
Awesome. So what we're going to be talking about is really the 5 key principles that our clients use to get on their dream job as quickly as possible. So the very first principle that we have to talk about is overcoming self-limiting beliefs. And the reason why we talk about this is because it's so critical. The words that you tell yourself, they cripple you. They can either bring you up or they cripple you, right? So we hear all the time with the clients who enroll in our program, I don't have my degree.
What are some of them, Kara?
I'm telling them, right?
That we hear every single day, right? From
have...
very, 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 very successful people who've had successful careers.
They say all the time, I can't get my next job because I don't have my degree. I don't have my bachelor's, my master's, my PMP, my CPA, whatever. Or maybe I'm too old, I'm too young. Maybe I'm overqualified, I'm underqualified. I have to take a step back. I have to take less money. Or maybe I'm too worried about my family, so I'm paralyzed. I got to stay where I am. Or maybe I can't find a job as good as what I have now, or whatever it is, right? These self-limiting beliefs. We always kind of make a joke that sometimes they even say, I went to too good of a school or not good of enough of a school. And it's like, man, you can make up an excuse for almost anything, right? So a lot of times, even when it comes to career pivots, they think, my career is vertical. I got to stay stuck, right?
I used to be in hospitality. There's no jobs. I want to get out of hospitality, but I don't have the experience.
Exactly. So all of these things that you're telling yourself are reasons why you're holding yourself back from finding the next job, and they're self-limiting beliefs. So the very first thing that we work with our clients is overcoming them.
Exactly. And most of our clients, when they first come to us, they want to talk about their resume, right? The 200 revisions they've done, or their LinkedIn profile, or their interviewing tactics. But let me assure you, this is the biggest reason, right? People don't get what they deserve in the marketplace. Okay. When our mindset doesn't match our ambition, we're in a very bad place. Okay. Because people have these obsessions with qualifications on job descriptions. You can't start there. The approach is much more important than the qualifications. What we tell our clients all the time is focus on your experience, not your education or credentials. And the true problem with our clients is mainly the approach. And when the approach is wrong, as humans, we look for something to blame, right? Hey, I'm doing everything I should, but it's not working. It must be me. It must be my resume. It must be my interviewing skills. Yeah, maybe, right? But typically the main problem we deal with is up here. On our first, if you decide to work with us one day to accelerate your career, right? The first thing we talk about is, like, you have to believe. Me and Kara, we're experts at writing resumes. We've written, I don't even know how many, like a lot, right? We can get you on interviews. We can tell you what to say. But if you don't believe that you deserve that job, right? If you don't believe you're qualified, if you don't believe you can solve that company's challenges, etc., right? It's not going to happen for you. Because most people say, what? I'll believe it when I see it, right? But you have to believe it. You have to believe it before you can see it. And until you believe it, you will not get the job and money that you deserve in the marketplace. So before we talk about resumes, which we're going to talk about networking and interviewing and how to stay top of mind and all these principles that are very important, this by far is the most important. Do you believe you deserve that job? If you don't, you need to go on a walk and talk to yourself. What's next, Kara?
So the second key to success, or the key principles that our clients learn, is showcasing your skills as dispensable. Indispensable. Sorry. A big change, right? So once you get your confidence back and you can show it with conviction, we need to make sure that you are showcasing your skills as indispensable. So a lot of times people are branding themselves poorly. They come to us, we take a look at their tools, resumes, LinkedIn's, and we see a lot of things that are easy to fix. For instance, we see that their resumes are 6 pages long. They've had 20 plus years of experience. But the fact of the matter is that recruiters and hiring managers are only looking at your resumes for about 6 to 10 seconds. So when you have a resume that is that long, or portrays yourself as a jack of all trades because you have so much experience, you could do a lot of different things, it gets very confusing. And we know that confused people don't move forward. They're going to move on to someone else that really showcases their branding as a laser focused and targeted approach. We also see that bullet points on resumes and LinkedIn's are responsibility based, right? So what we want to do, and what we do for our clients, is we make sure that their branding is on point. So what does that mean, right? We want to make sure that it is clear, it showcases your value, and it's laser focused towards what you are going towards. We want to make sure that you have a direction, value, and it's targeted towards what you're doing. So Tim's going to go a little bit more into that, but your branding is more important than you think.
I'll get to your question. One of the things is, branding yourself is truly important. If you don't brand yourself as a leader, if you don't have your accomplishments, if you don't have your successes, do you really think people are going to talk to you? Why would they? If you don't tell people how good you are, this is a mindset issue, right? I don't want to tell someone how good I am. What? If you don't tell someone how you've trained teams, how you've done it effectively cost savings initiatives, performance, lean manufacturing, etc., why should someone talk to you? If you're doing a career pivot, we have this all the time with our clients, right? Someone's been in retail, they've been a VP of sales in retail for 20 years, and they're not targeting a retail job, but they have retail 20 times in their resume. So as a decision maker, what are you seeing there, right? Retail, 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 retail. Well, no wonder they're going to not look at you for that other opportunity, right? So are you branding yourself correctly for the positions that you're targeting that's highlighting your successes, accomplishments, etc., which should drive a conversation? If you don't do this, it's super difficult to even get on the phone with people, okay? The example I used in the masterclass was if you go into a store, okay, and you ask the attendant or someone who works there, like you're going in Foot Locker, right? If you ask them for a green Nike and they bring you back a blue Adidas, you're going to be like, what the hell is this? You're going to confuse people, right? So if your resume doesn't truly align with what you're targeting, it's going to be really brutal, especially when you people doing career pivots, Just Brandon, we helped him he was in retail for a long time, and hey, you can make a lot of money at retail, especially store managers at Walmart. They make pretty good money. I think they make like $200K a year. He was out of that game, right? He wanted to go into the finance realm. So we're talking about major career pivot. And he got placed at the Hard Rock Casino, I believe, in Fort Lauderdale as a senior financial, professional. If you're not branded properly, though, so what do we do with his profile and his language on these interviews? Stop talking about retail, right? And focus on how your experience, transitions to whatever you're targeting. Yeah, he hadn't been in finance for 20 years, but what did he do? The P&L statements, the budgets, etc., right? And since he had a document that displayed that correctly, since he was able to speak to that directly, right? That's why he got hired. And career pivots are definitely the hardest things to do. So if that's you, I highly encourage you to book a call with us, and I put that in the comments below. So far there's one more I wanted to bring up too. Overcoming self-limiting beliefs. This reminds me of someone that I worked with last year. I believe her name was Pam. Phenomenal career. Was the VP of marketing for the city of Jacksonville. And I don't know if you know this, but if you're working for the government in a government position, it's an appointed position, right? Highly competitive. She was appointed by 3 mayors, went to work for a tech company, wildly successful. Tech company went under. And then she figured, I'm going to have to take a step back in my career. How does that? Someone please explain to me. How can you get more knowledge and then get less pay? Kara, can you explain that to me?
It doesn't make sense.
How could you go out and get more experience and then be targeting less compensation? How could you be a VP, for a mid-sized company and then want to be a director of a mid-sized company? Why would you settle for that?
Yep.
Now, after you're branded right, what's the next step, Kara?
So you've got your confidence back, you're branded right. We need to get past the gatekeepers, which are recruiters and HR. So I want to talk about this for a little bit because I was a recruiting leader for a long time. So I understand how frustrated you are with recruiters. Recruiters get a bad rap. I get it. We've had some really great recruiters and headhunters on this podcast. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you are checking those out so that you get some insight into what you're dealing with when it comes to recruiters. But just for some insight now, recruiters are typically dealing with 20 requisitions at a time, and they're typically dealing and handling 8 to 12 interviews a day. So that means you've got a very limited amount of time to showcase your value and stand out. If you're talking to a recruiter, most likely they don't know what you do. They don't have time to really dig in and have that amount of experience and accomplishments that you do in your career. So what they are doing when they're phone interviewing you is they're comparing you to a checklist of a job description, which most of the time is not even written by the hiring manager. So if you have 49 out of the 50 things, but you don't have that 50th thing,
must not be qualified.
Not even going to
must
get
not
through.
Be qualified.
That's super frustrating, right? We actually had a CFO that we were working with. The recruiter vetted him, but didn't vet him properly. So think about this, right? This recruiter signed him off. He drove for like I don't know, it was like
3
3
hours.
hours one way. Got to the meeting with the CEO. The CEO asked, do you have experience with some sort of compliance thing? He said no. The CEO ended the interview short, and he had to drive all the way home. How frustrated would you be? Let us know in the comments, right? Insane, right? So recruiters, again, they don't know what you do. You have a very limited amount of time. So how do you get around that, right? A lot of our times our clients are coming to us and they're just frustrated because they feel like they're constantly dealing with recruiters who either ghost them, don't know what they do. And I get it. I get it. So hiring managers are very busy. They don't write the job descriptions themselves. And so you're dealing with this awful game of applying to these job descriptions that aren't accurate. And you only really have a 2% chance of landing an interview when you're applying to job descriptions. So it's Tim and I always say automation has killed the job search process because you're fighting a losing battle. So how do you get through that?
Yeah, because as soon as everyone in this, who's probably watching this is a director, VP, or executive, where you're targeting 6 figures, right? When that job posting goes live, 500 people have applied across the nation, because you're not just competing with Tampa, Florida, or New York City. You're competing with America, right? If someone's making 200K, the company really doesn't care about paying 15K to relocate, the best candidate, right? Obviously, in those income levels. So how do you get past that? So first off, you got to make sure you're branded properly. This is going to make the process much, much easier. And I highly encourage you. We have resume templates. We have different things to aid you, or just get with us. We do resume services as well, right? But by being properly branded with your resume and on LinkedIn, it makes this process really easier. It makes it easier to connect with people, so that if you're taking notes, you can bypass the traditional job search process. So what's the traditional process? A job's posted on LinkedIn or on Indeed. You apply, cross your fingers, hope and pray that you're one of those 2% that Kara talked about. Okay. And think about this too. The recruiter, and I know we talk bad about recruiters. I used to be a recruiter for a long time, and so did Kara, right? But hey, I'm in at 8, I'm out at 5, right? And I'm taking an hour lunch. There's no pain there. If the position isn't filled for X amount of time, it's like, oh, I haven't found anyone yet, right? Who is feeling that pain of not having a VP of sales of North America? Probably the CHRO, probably this person, that person, right? The decision makers have these pains of not having plant managers, regional plant managers, director of creative services, professional services. Why aren't we not reaching out to them? LinkedIn is a phenomenal place to network with other people. In our program, right, once we optimize profiles, if there is an opening, great, right? Let's get a hold of those people via LinkedIn, because it's such a phenomenal tool. And simply say, hey, I noticed you had an opening for, a VP of sales. Thought it makes sense to connect. Over my career, I've managed teams of this, and I've sold $500 million of products and services, something along those lines, right? Hey, does it make sense for us to have a conversation? You have to get connected to people that can actually hire you, or people at your level who can advocate for you and build relationships. And you do this through networking, which almost no one likes to do for some reason. And I don't understand why. Probably because here's why. Probably because you don't have a plan for networking, right? You don't know what you're going to say, and you haven't practiced. And tell me, doing anything in life when you don't have a plan, when you don't have a blueprint, when you don't practice, you can't be successful at anything. Anyone remember riding a bike, right? What did you have to do? You had to see someone, get on the bike, fall a couple times, and make it through it, right? But what did you do after you fall the first time? You guys quit? No, right? Get connected to people that can actually hire you. Let's talk about this now, Kara. Oh, yeah. Real quick too. Someone, if you're doing career pivots, back to the career pivot piece, because we work with a lot of people, right? If you don't get a hold of decision makers, you're not going to get a job, or it's going to take you a very long time, because recruiters want these cookie cutter resumes. And if you don't have that, they're never going to call you. They're never going to refer you. They're never going to this, right? So especially if you're going to a career pivot, the only thing you should be doing is connecting with people where you know that there could be an opportunity.
Absolutely. So now that you have your confidence, you're rebranded correctly, and you're getting directly to the decision makers, you got to make sure that you're networking correctly, right? So let's talk about the traditional, definition of networking. You probably have seen this a lot, right? When you think about networking, it's all about hitting up friends and family, right? Hey, I just lost my job. I'm telling everyone that you're looking for a job. You probably, if you're on LinkedIn at all, you've seen these posts, right? Hey guys, I just lost my job. I'm looking for a position. If you know anything, let me know. But they don't tell you anything about what they're doing, what they're skilled in, what their accomplishments
Their
are,
location. Are they
or
trying to move
anything. And you're
somewhere?
like, okay, I want to help you, but like, give me something, right? Or maybe you even think about, prior to COVID, networking events, which just feel, I don't know about you, but just feel so yucky.
It's a good place to get a buzz.
Right, exactly. You get a couple drinks, you sit back, you watch people hitting on each other, and it's like, oh, this feels gross. Or a lot of times, if you're at these networking events or you get on a networking call, it's all about them, right? It's just, we use this term in our program, dump trucking, right? All of a sudden you say, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. And 10 minutes later, you're like, oh my gosh, are they still talking? What? I don't even remember what they're saying. So networking doesn't feel great because it feels self-serving, right? So how do you network effectively? That's what we teach in our program. So Tim, how do we do it?
Exactly. But before we do that, though, I know Kim posted in the group. She said, I had calls with HR from 2 companies in the last few weeks, and they told me they were going to give my resume and info to the hiring manager. I ended up getting rejection emails, no interviewing. Should I believe that my info was already provided to the hiring manager? Here's what resumes are good for: sitting on a desk and doing nothing. Right? So inside our coaching program, we'll go off topic for a sec, Kim, because I know inside our coaching program, we tell people to control the process. For instance, if I had calls with HR, I would immediately be on LinkedIn and say, who's the decision maker? After my call with HR, it's not a bad thing just to follow up with that potential decision maker, which should be easy to find, and say, hey, just had a phenomenal, conversation with HR. They told me the next step is to talk to you. Really excited to talk to you. Just that personal touch, right? But control the process. What does that mean? That means you should never be waiting for a phone call back. Kara, let's kind of play this out, because I know I really think this would be very valuable for everyone, right? Sure. So you're HR, and we just wrapped up our interview, and you're, yeah, Tim, we're
Great,
excited.
Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, had a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Do you think I'm a good candidate for this role?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. When can I expect to be in touch? Actually, what's the next step in this process? Just to guys asking for clarity here. What's the next step in this process?
Yeah, I'm going to be sending your resume and your information over to the hiring manager probably by the end of next week.
End of next week. Okay. So it's Thursday now, end of next week. So again, I'm just listening, right? We're going off script. So what I know, we're talking about 8 days, right? Hey, absolutely. Hey, I have another question. Is this an urgent need, or is this something where they're just kind of developing candidates and maybe they hire someone in Q2?
No, they're looking to hire by the end of the month.
Oh, excellent. The end of the month. Wow, it's 11/12. So if we wait till, wow, I can see acknowledge. I can see this is an urgent need for you. I'm really glad to be talking to you, Kara. Awesome. So you're going to send it to them and then follow up with me by like the end of next week, right? Is that correct? Awesome. Hey, what I'm going to do, by the way, how many requisitions are you working on right now?
I've got about 20.
20. How many people per requisition? That's a job, right? A job opening.
Oh, hundreds. It's insane.
Geez, you're dealing with hundreds of people and this is an urgent need? Hey, here's what I'm going to do just to make sure we can both be the most successful and get the right person in this position quickly so they can start the beginning of December. I'm going to send you a calendar invite for the end of day Friday. That way, if I haven't heard anything, we at least have a time to reconnect because I know you're busy, things of that nature, right? Now, Kim, why you might not have been selected, right? There's these things called unknown objections, and they will crush you. What's an unknown objection? Is Kara's an entry-level recruiter. She doesn't want to tell me, something that I don't have, right? She just wants to get off the phone, click, and then, you email her 10 times or you get the rejection email. That's why some of these questions are key at the end, right? we talk about uncovering unknown objections. Hey, Kara, is there anything, based on our conversation, based on, all of my experiences, is there something that you think might be missing that the hiring manager is really looking for? Key point next. Hey, and be honest with me, I won't hold it against you. Okay. What this is going to do is get this like, this unknown objection pulled out, especially, hey, I won't hold it against you. This is going to allow Kara to maybe be more open with me and say something like, who knows, right? Who knows what it is? There's many different things, industry experience, blah, 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 blah. And then you handle that, objection, because now you pulled it out and at least you got a chance. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about objections. Okay. If you get an objection, anyone, okay, don't do this. Kara, let's go through the CRM one because this is just one we use all the time, right? Sure. Salesforce. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really glad that you brought that up. We use Salesforce here, and I don't see that you have any Salesforce experience on your resume.
Yeah. Oh, no. I've used that before. Or it's just like Infusion. No, it's not the way you handle it. Not the way you handle it. Okay. Here's the way you handle it if you get with this objection. Objections are maybe it's the degree, maybe it's your industry experience, maybe it's your lack of a PMP or whatever. In this case, we're using this. Number one, always agree. Okay. For instance, let's go ahead and play this out again. Go ahead, Kara.
Hey, you know what? I'm really glad that you actually brought that up. We use Salesforce here. We just implemented it a couple of years ago, and I'm looking at your resume. I don't see that you have that on your resume.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I completely agree with you. And I understand, number one, I completely agree with you. Always agree when an objection comes up. Number two, hey, I can understand why you guys want someone who has Salesforce. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Hey, over the past 20 years, right, I've used many different customer relationship management systems, right? Here's what I've learned is that they're all have their own little way about them. They're all this, right? But the good news is I've used Infusionsoft, I use Zoho, HubSpot, and I've picked them up very quickly. And I've actually managed them very effectively to do result, something, right, from your background. And I'm highly confident, given the opportunity, I can absolutely come in and learn this software quickly, which is just like all these other softwares. At least you got a chance by pulling out that objection, acknowledging, agreeing, asking, and then going into those things. If you're not asking this question, that's when you get these rejection emails and you don't know why, right? Don't let that happen to yourself. Don't let that happen to yourself. All right, back to the script. All right, so...
So we were just talking about how networking feels really self-serving and it feels kind of yucky, right? So how do you network effectively, Tim?
Yeah. So this conversation when you're networking, right, should be all about them. When I'm trying to network, if I'm a VP of marketing and I'm networking with another VP of marketing, right, I'm going to ask them, hey, Kara, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Hey, I see you've been working executive career upgrades for 3 years. Hey, why have you decided to, what's kept you there? What brought you there? How has your experience been? What about this? What projects are you working now? What about, you see how I'm making the conversation about them? Okay. Let's think about this because I love to use dating as an example, right? If you go on a date, if you're talking the whole time, it's probably not going to end well for you, right? You're probably going to get ghosted, right? Make it about them. So we always, if you follow us, right, you're going to hear this term a lot. Stephen Covey, very phenomenal quote. I use it all the time. Seek to understand before trying to be understood, right? So I want to learn about them, learn maybe about their hobbies, why they work there, what are they working on now, and all of these things, right? Before I go into myself, unless they ask, okay? Personable, right? Not self-serving. Ask how you can help them. Everyone's been everyone in this group has probably 20 years of experience, right? Hey, how can I help you, Kara? Who are you trying to get connected to? Vendors, this person, right? And then you can go into the ask. Hey, the reason I reached out is I've only heard great things about Uber. It's a phenomenal company, transportation tech giant. I'd love to work there. Hey, what positions do you have open right now that you think I might be a good fit for? Or coming available in the future. If they say none, ask for referrals, etc. Right? Network like you don't need a job, and that's when magical things happen. right? And I know some people are scared to death of networking, scared to death. There's so many people who come to our program who are so apprehensive, right? You know, if you watch a previous podcast, right, I talked about how strangers have everything that you want, right? Don't be scared of them. Your wife was a stranger. Your husband was a stranger, right? Your previous boss were strangers, right? You have to talk to these people and build relationships so that they can get you to hire you, okay? And by doing this, you can build a team of advocates that can help you for opportunities that aren't posted online, right? Which, you know, there's too many to mention that have been placed in our program, right? Just recently too, there's this guy named Steve. You know, they didn't even have an open position. Actually, the best example is Chris. By the way, again, the call links down below. We had Chris was unemployed for 3 years. Holy crap. Chris, if you're watching this, dude, I love you, man. I actually met him for lunch because he was in the Tampa area. So that was awesome. But there wasn't no open position. He had been unemployed for 3 years, VP of sales, MBA, phenomenal career. He made a position at a company by networking his way. And now he's the VP of sales for like one of the largest construction companies in Florida or something along those lines, right? So build relationships with people that can help you or hire you. Your ability to navigate this part effectively is going to determine how quickly you can get to that new role. So it's kind of important. Up above in the announcements, in addition to the masterclass, we have resume templates and we have literally how to have an effective networking conversation. What do I need to do? What roadblocks do I need to be aware of? How do I set the intention of this call? What do I want to get out of the call? These are all things you should be thinking about prior to doing that. Okay. Well, what's the last one, Kara?
The last key principle is how to stay top of mind. We like to call this being professionally persistent, right? So a lot of times when clients come to us, they're really, really scared of being pushy or annoying, right? They come to us and they say, hey, Kara, hey, Tim, you know, I've contacted everyone in my network. I followed up with them and they really just don't want to talk to me. And we always ask, you know, what have you done? And they typically say, well, I emailed them and they don't want to talk to me, right? So we want to—
Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything?
Exactly.
Have you heard anything, Kara? How many emails did you get when you were a recruiting leader?
Oh,
you heard anything?
God.
Did you hear anything?
All the time. I used to get the same email all the time. Just following up. Did you hear anything? Have you talked to the hiring manager? All the time, right? So a lot of times when it comes to following up, we talk to these clients about doing it professionally and persistently. But previously, it's either they email once, they email unprofessionally, they never lock down next steps, or they're not doing it creatively. We also like to talk about verbal offers, right? So when we've talked about this before, but Tim and I always joke around about verbal offers. We like to say, you know, if we had $1 for every time a verbal offer actually turned into a written offer by the date it was promised, we'd probably have about enough for a McDonald's Happy Meal because it just never happens, right? And so if you're not following up professionally, locking down next steps, it becomes super frustrating because all of a sudden you're not in control of your job search process. So we want to make sure that we're talking about and touching up on how you can be professionally persistent in your job search to take control of your job search.
Exactly. And before we do that, I know we did a prior training on this or like podcast, guys and gals. If you don't lock down the next steps, it is going to cause you so much frustration because here's what happens. Hey, I'll call you next week. Okay. Interview went well. Weeks go by. Haven't heard anything. You're in endless follow-up schemes. And now what are you thinking about? Mindset, right? Was it something I said? Was it something I didn't say? Was it this? Was it because I'm transferring industries? Oh my God, I don't have my MBA. Oh my God, I don't have my bachelor's degree, but I only have 3 more classes. Should I go back and complete those classes? Should I go get more certificates? Should I do this? Should I do that? When in reality, here's the deal. Recruiter got busy and forgot about you because he's working with 500 people. So how do you do this, right? How do you stay top of mind? Number 1, you lock down next steps. Number 2, you get omnipresent. Omnipresent. We'll talk about this for just a second. LinkedIn is a phenomenal place. If you connect with that recruiter, decision maker, hiring manager, CEO, they're probably on LinkedIn. People are on LinkedIn as much as Facebook. By you creating valuable content, which we had another training on too, we try to give you guys everything, right? Because here's why, you have to be everywhere. So if you don't lock down next steps, or you do, regardless if you don't, that's why LinkedIn content, if you're a marketing person talking about the next new thing, how you've led teams, how you've been successful, anything, right? People see that. And the more you see Coca-Cola, the more you see the new Apple iPhone ad, man, I got to have that new iPhone, right? It's no different when it comes to the people market. You have to be omnipresent. LinkedIn content's a great strategy for that. Why? Here's what's on decision makers and recruiters' minds every single day. Well, decision maker's mind. He's being sued. They're not happy in their marriage. Their mom just passed away. They don't have the budget. They hate their job. Think about all these things they're thinking about, right? They're not in shape, but they don't want to work out. They're drinking too much. Think about everything that's going through these people's minds, right? You have to lock down next steps, send calendar invites, and tell them, hey, am I going to call you or are you going to call me, right? If you don't do that, you're going to be annoyed by sending all of this endless things. And you have to be creative in your follow-up. So how do we be creative, right? If I'm talking to Kara because she's the decision maker and all she wants to talk about, say I'm in sales, is doubling revenue. If I hear this term all the time, how do you think I'm going to do my follow-up email, right? My thank you notes, etc. Hey, I know one of your concerns or key strategic plan initiatives, whatever the case is, right, is to double revenue. And I can't wait until we partner to be able to help you achieve that, just like I did at this company. Look forward to reconnecting next. Right?
The story that you always like to tell, which I just love, so I'm going to tell it from my perspective.
Go ahead.
I love my husband.
You talking about the spouse one?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Tonight is trash night.
Yep.
He is fantastic. We have a rapport level of 100, obviously, because we're married, right? But I'll tell him, hey, Jack, you got to take out the trash. He's busy. We're both busy, right? We run a business. We live together, all that other stuff.
Does Jack love you, by the way?
100%.
He loves you, 100% rapport. Would he do anything for you?
Absolutely.
Got it.
But he's going to forget. So I know it because it happens every week. So I tell him again, Jack, babe, I need you to take out the trash. Oh, yeah, I got it. I just got to do this or whatever, dinner, whatever, right? Okay, third time. Jack, I need you to take out the trash, babe. So if I have to tell my husband, who will do anything for me, to take out the trash 3 times in order for it to get done, how often do you need to be professionally persistent with a decision maker who's running a company, a department, a business, a
50
marriage,
open
all
positions,
this other stuff, who doesn't know you from Adam? A lot of times when people come and say, hey, I sent a connection request and one follow-up message, they didn't want to talk to me, I guess it's out. I have to remind them.
How dare they?
How
dare they?
right?
I spent 5 seconds sending them a message and they didn't immediately respond. So what a dick.
So we always tell people, at a minimum, you need to be reaching out to people between 5 to 7 times within 2 weeks, at a minimum, and in a creative way. Omnipresence is your only option. Your goal is to get your name in front of them as much as possible in a creative and a professional way. Because
when we talk about follow-up, so Kara just said like the touches if you're a salesperson, right? That doesn't necessarily mean to message them 7 times if you haven't heard anything. That's like, what other things can we do? Can we tag? Are they posting anything on LinkedIn? Can we tag them in it? Hey, Kara, thanks so much for these valuable tips. What do you think about this? What can we do to generate a conversation? Can we create content that they might see? Can we do, there's many different things you can do than just, Kara, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Like these different things, right? You have to be creative in the different ways that you're trying to attract people, okay? And if you're not in sales, okay, guess what? You're in sales now until you get a job, okay? So to recap, hey, get your mind right. If you don't believe it's going to happen, do you think it's going to happen? Number 2, right? Showcasing your skills. Are you showcasing your skills as a leader? Are you not talking about things that aren't relevant? For instance, the career pivot people. if you don't want to be in retail no more, don't put retail or retail associated words on your resume or on your profile. Because if you put retail on your profile, how am I going to perceive you? Okay. Getting past gatekeepers, hey, nothing wrong with recruiters. I know they're a part of the process, but you need to go where the pain is. And those are the decision makers, right? Network like you don't need a job. And how to stay top of mind without being annoying, which most of the time is you shouldn't have to stay top of mind. You should have next steps already, and calendar invites, right? Awesome. Any closing comments, Kara?
Listen, if you are struggling in your job search, hopefully these tips are helping. Please take them. We are live every Thursday at 3 Eastern, and we try to provide you as much value as possible to help you in your job search. If you need support, Tim and I offer a program where we help you unlimited support one-on-one. Please book a call at the link that Tim dropped in the comments so that we can talk to you about your specific job search so that we can help you get there as quickly as possible.
In closing too, this is something we're really passionate about, right? No one wants people to succeed, I assure you, more than me and her. And guess what? We have coaches too. I have a fitness coach, full transparency. If Christina's watching this, my wife, right? We have a fitness coach drive to my house 3 times a week, okay? Because we're afraid about my wife, about the whole COVID thing, right? So I have why he drives to my house? I was in the military for a long time, right? I know how to work out, man, right? Dude, I need the accountability. That's why I haven't, I know I need that. I know myself, right? I know that sometimes you can have a plan, right? For instance, I'll walk you through a thing right now, right? Like number 1, you have to visualize it. Hey, I do want it, but then you have to take action towards it. It's not that I don't know what to do. I know what to do, man. How many fitness plans are there online? 1 million. Do any one, you'll definitely be in better shape. I need the accountability, right? And we hire other coaches as well. I'm not a marketing expert, so I get help in areas where I don't know anything, right? I need help. And in closing, because I know a lot of you on our email list, right? The most successful people in the world have coaches. I just read something right before we hopped on. LeBron this year is going to spend $1.5 million on his body, meaning he has he has multiple trainers. He has a dietitian, a doctor, all this stuff, right? So he could be the best athlete he can. Where you're at in your career right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's competitive. You're going after positions that, there's not a lot of them. How are you standing out in the marketplace? Okay. I'll just leave you with that. The link's down below. Hopefully we talk to you soon. Hopefully you're already in a job you love, right? And you're just staying current. But hey, we come live every Thursday, 3 Eastern, Getting Past the Gatekeeper podcast with Tim and Kara. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.